Springs point of viewers. We're back for you this week with a lot of excitement.
All kinds of things happening.
I don't know who this cowboy is over here.
Stagecoach, Stagecoach. We're going to talk about it.
Okay, he was there. And the wind is coming up, the weather's cooling down, and guess what our feature presentation is? We're going to the Palm Springs
Windmill tour. That's right. Carly, I've been here for almost 30 years off and on. Never been to this tour. How about you?
I have not. I am going there virtually with you and you.
That's right.
We are going to touch on Preservation Matters, which just happened this weekend because it's a very important annual event put on by the City of Palm Springs and the Palm Springs Site Preservation Board. And also, I think you did your upcoming book
There's going to be a
interview?
book reading at the LGBTQ Community Center this coming Tuesday at 4 p.m. We're going to talk about it.
Okay, great. Well, festival season, as we know, is in full swing.
That's
and
right.
Though I may be more of a Coachella girl, this guy loves Stagecoach, and I want to learn more. I hear it's more civilized.
It's definitely a calm experience, but you know what? There were a lot of people there. There's nothing better than being at the main stage and seeing the crowds of people and the musicians. I mean, it was a blast.
Do you think as many people as Coachella?
I would say no, because there's only 2 main stages at the Stagecoach, whereas Coachella there's
the
5 or 6 or something like that, right? But speaking of the tents, one thing you want to do during Stagecoach is you want to find the air-conditioned tent. Because it is hot during the daytime. Both Friday and Sunday we went extremely hot. We went right to the tented area, which was the honky-tonk tent. Nothing better than being air-conditioned with country music in the background and people line dancing. It was a blast. Saw a variety of great folks. We saw a group I haven't heard about before, but they are just an amazing group called Turnpike Troubadours. Some folks out there may know them. Great honky-tonk music and country, just a big band, a blast. We also had a chance to see some of the old favorites, Brooks and Dunn. We also saw Melissa Etheridge, who was there.
Oh, she was there? Uh-huh.
She is a rocker like
the
good old days. She just knows what to do. We also saw ZZ Top. And where did that come from?
When you said that you saw ZZ Top, I know, I was like, but then somebody said, well, it's like Southern blues rock,
and rock and reggae and
they're icons.
Rap, they're all being meshed into country these days.
Yeah.
So it's really a unique experience. And then we saw, we were supposed to see Chris Stapleton, but it was so hot.
You missed Chris Stapleton? I would have loved to have seen
them. We couldn't stand it. We were just worn out. But you know what? Every year, Stagecoach is a blast. I highly recommend it. Just make sure you look for those air-conditioned tents. The annual Preservation Matters event was once again here in the desert. Claudia, you were there. Tell us some of the highlights.
Okay, all right. Well, the theme this year was A Mirage Becomes an Oasis. So there's a lot of tying in of how water actually came to our valley, how water from our valley is exchanged, quite intricate, how it's exchanged all over Southern California. And what I didn't know was that the Coachella Valley during the rest of the country's winter months supplies the majority of produce to the entire country.
Interesting.
Yes.
The good old valley.
So when we walked in, Conrad, there was a great spread of small, mid-century modern architectural models.
I love those models. By the kids, yes?
By the BEAM kids, BEAM is Building Educational Architectural Models. It's part of PSMODCOM, and there's a committee that works with the high schools and some of the junior highs to teach them about our incredible architecture and build these models. And in fact, there were even a few birdhouses by College of the Desert students, which were quite elevated. I mean, in more ways than one. It was really interesting.
Wow, that event is always informative, and you get to go to tour some homes also. It's a blast.
And a few of the fun topics at this symposium were, come swim with me. Greg Huff talked about all the pools in the 50s from the hotels like El Mirador, and how he would sneak into these pools by taking a hotel towel from one and just kind of waltzing into all of them.
The secret how to go pool hopping in the desert.
And it gets better because a lot of the snowbirds that were here at the time, there were no gates, there were no fences. Houses were left open, pools were left open, so why not have a pool party every night?
Interesting. I like that idea.
Yeah, and the tune that went along with this, Come Swim With Me, was played and sung by none other than
Our one and only.
PSPOV's own
That's
Alan
right.
Kramer.
That's right. Let's take a listen.
Come swim with me, let's swim away. We can swim all day long down Palm Springs way. It's perfect for a honeymoon, they do say. Come swim with me, let's swim away.
And Conrad, what about those crazy lyrics? Come swim.
Good theme, good theme.
And another interesting topic that was presented was by Gary Wexler and Stephen Keelan, and was about the Palm Springs Airport, which was designed by Gary's dad, Donald Wexler,
of course.
in 1963. And what they talked about was a whole restoration of the east side of the airport, which faces the tarmac, which everybody sees when they disembark and enter into Palm Springs.
And so this is going to be happening? That's what
Well,
we're talking about?
it's now it's in a certain stage, and we got to see architectural drawings and how they would restore furniture, plantings, facade. You know, there's
It's going to be beautiful when
It's
it's
going
done.
to be beautiful. It's now getting ready for some approvals by the city. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And Danny Heller did a beautiful sketch. We just want to show you that too. And Conrad, I'm just dying to hear about this Windmill tour. It's a perfect time of year.
Exactly. We had a blast, and let's take a look at this segment. Regardless whether you are a resident or a visitor to the desert, there are a few iconic images that everyone knows that you have actually landed in Palm Springs, and that has to be the windmills. And today we're here at the Palm Springs Windmill Tour talking to the Director of Education, Tom Spiglanen.
Perfect.
How's that? Good deal. All right, so Tom, before we start talking about the tours, I want to let our viewers know that when you take these tours, you download an app online, which is what I did, and you get all kinds of great information that tells you about the history. And then we're also going to be doing a guided tour by you, and then everybody checks in at one location. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Tell our viewers, if you would, a little bit about the history of the windmills here. I believe they arrived sometime in around the 1980s or so.
Yeah, that's right on. The state of California added some incentives in the 1980s to encourage the development of renewable resources. Right. And wind was the logical one. Solar wasn't quite there yet in the 1980s.
And we've come a long way.
We've come a very long way. The wind wasn't really there either in some ways. I mean, there were a lot of developments that took place. The very first wind turbine, commercial wind turbine, appeared here in Palm Springs in 1981. It was a single, tiny 25 kilowatt turbine that stood on a piece of property not too far from here. But the first one worked well, so that expanded to 8, and the following year they expanded that to 212. But by 1982, there were just 8 little turbines operating in Palm Springs.
And let me ask you a question about that. I believe I read somewhere in the information that we get when we get our app that the original wind turbines or windmills, that was 8. They're still somewhere, but they're not working, but they're still somewhere?
We have artifacts out here on the tour. So when people take this tour, they get to see the artifacts up close and personal and hear the stories. We also do some education along the way, because you need to understand how they work, to understand what the problems they encountered, and why that was such a bad thing for that particular design, and how we got to where we are today.
And you and I are going to be on the golf cart tour, and so you're going to be able to tell me stuff. If someone is taking the self-guided tour, will they hear that information on the radio over there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, they actually drive right through our graveyard of wind turbine artifacts. We just call it the Blade Yard.
Blade Yard.
And in the Blade Yard are 7 artifacts that share different stories, and we do have the recordings for each of those.
All right,
and then people drive on the actual wind farm itself, and get fairly close to an operating wind turbine.
And so there are 4 different tours. Why don't you tell our viewers about that?
All right, so the self-driving tour is currently $59.
We'll be taking
for
that in a moment.
2 adults, and it includes kids as well, and then additional adults are $10.
Okay.
And as I said, that tour will allow you onto the private farm, but it also then takes you off the property, and you see a few other exhibits off the site.
Great.
The mini tour, which is guided on the farm, is $55 per person. The capacity of the golf cart is 5, And we do operate those on the hour at 10, 11, 12, and 1.
And you have to
throughout
have
the day.
reservations for all of this. You can't just, can you just walk in?
And for this, we do take people on a first come, first served basis.
Okay.
So we are staffed to run those tours. So as long as there are seats in the golf cart, if you wanted to do that, people can jump on that.
Right.
People have also booked the self-driving tour, and then we can convert them to the golf cart tour if they'd like to when they get here.
Good, all right.
The VIP tour is a private experience that takes 2 hours with a guide that is $110 per person, 2-person minimum, and as I said, 2 hours dedicated wind energy specialist.
Wow.
So that's a fairly in-depth thing, and we do spend a lot of time.
And you're going to come away a pro.
You do
Or-
come
or-
away with a lot of
or at
information.
least a lot of information.
Yeah, it's a lot of it. That's the in-depth tour.
Yeah.
And then the summer bus tours, the pricing will be on the website, but that is about an hour and a half experience. We do try to blend the two, so we try to give you everything that you got on the VIP tour, but we're still sharing it with a number of people.
And is this Monday through Sunday?
I believe that's going to run Monday through Thursday. Do check the website for that.
Okay.
But the air-conditioned bus should be very nice in the summer because we get a lot of wind and we'll be able to operate even on windy days.
Oh, Conrad, that looks like fun. So close,
So
but yet
close.
so far. You're way out there.
And we took both tours, the guided tour and the self-guided tour. So they're both available.
Okay. Okay, well, I want to go, and I'm sure you do too.
And I remind everybody that this coming Tuesday at 4 p.m. at the LGBTQ Community Center here in Palm Springs, this author, Raymond Luzak, will be here reading his book called Widower 48, Seeking Husband. Is that you out there?
That's great, yes. And Wednesday night, this is the last night to go see the Gans as they feature their Blues Night, which is a tribute to the Blues Brothers
Can't beat that.
at the Cascade Lounge at our casino here. And Dion will be performing. It's going to be a fun, fun time, so get your tickets on Eventbrite.
Come on out. We'll see you there.
And remember, Cinco de
de
Mayo,
Mayo's coming up.
this Friday. Lots of parties going on.
What are you going to be doing?
Bye-bye. See you next week.